In this video, I'm gonna show you guys how I take some dope photography photos for my clothing brand. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a professional photographer. I just know a little bit to get by. So I guess the first thing we need to do is show you guys what I shoot with. So these cameras aren't too expensive when it comes to actual, in the camera world, things can get really expensive. This is an A6400 and an A6300. So I do a lot of videos, so that's why I have these cameras. There are other cameras that are better for photography, but this does pretty decent for me. I think you can get it new for about $1,000. I usually buy off eBay for about $600-700 bucks. And I bought pre-COVID. I've noticed like the price of cameras went up and it never went back down. So this is an A6400, and the magic is always going to really be in the lens. This is a 1.4 16 millimeters. So 16 millimeter is pretty wide. As far as the 1.4 is typically refers to the f-stop, and I know that means like the aperture, it opens up a lot. So it lets a lot of light in. And whenever that happens, usually the background can become really blurry, which they call bokeh. So that's all I really, for me, that's all I really look for to make things look professional, right? So this one right here is actually a 85 millimeter lens. So this one's a little tight. I just pretty much use this one for video. So as you can see, when I'm holding it all the way back here, the background's not as blurry. But once I get a little bit closer, the closer I am to the subject with this type of lens, you see how blurry the background is? And it looks really nice, right? So the same thing happens, I've noticed that with the wide lens, but with the tight lens, the ones that's like a little bit higher, like this is an 85 millimeter, the further you are away from the subject, then the background actually becomes a little bit more blurry. So that helps to know in a layman terms kind of way, because like photography can kind of be a little intimidating because there's so much going on with it, right? So as long as you know like the basics like that, that's all you really need to know to take it to another level. I'm gonna show you guys how we can take some mock-ups for our clothing brand, as well as take some dope shots. All right, so I don't have my cousin, he usually models all the clothes with me, but we'll try it out. Let's hit the back of the warehouse and take some shots. All right, so the angle that I'm shooting at this isn't going to be perfect because I don't have a tripod for my camera phone, but I want you guys to be able to see the screen of the actual camera. So before I set up, basically I just use one key light, and it can be a fairly inexpensive light. A lot of people want you to invest like super crazy expensive lighting. I'm just using like this simple camera light setup. Is just a light bulb. It's really cheap. Okay, so check it out. It's just one light bulb with an umbrella on it. I don't know the price. I'm sure it's under $50 on Amazon though. And see, check it out. We have the f-stop wide open, and all I like to do really is just play with the shutter speed and ISO. Like I said, I'm not a professional. There's certain things that you're supposed to do, like shutter speed, supposed to match the light, whatever. I have no idea. And so I'm just gonna kind of get down right here in this angle, and I'm just gonna click it. Let's see how that looks. So I'm gonna lower the shutter speed a little bit. And I'm gonna raise the ISO slightly. All right, so now, gonna get about right there. All right, so here are the two photos. They're not that great, but as you can see like how blurry the background is, and that's pretty much the point I'm trying to make. And we didn't really do anything too crazy, so I hope that helped out. But now we're gonna do a few mock-ups. So it would honestly be best if we use this, but I don't feel like taking it apart because we don't have a real place for this just yet. This is like really thick paper style backdrop. So this one right here is expensive. It's not like the fabric type of stuff, but this makes it really easy. Or you can just use like a poster board. I've used like 4 poster boards from like Walmart before, the ones that cost like less than $1, and I just taped them all to the ground. You can also do that. So now I'm just gonna take a t-shirt. I would recommend just using a blank. I'm gonna use this one because I'm putting it on the ground. This is actually a misprint, so it's okay if this one gets dirty. So we're gonna use this so that we can create a mock-up for our actual website. It's not necessarily gonna be like a true mock-up, but it's gonna help. You know, these types of photos are actually popular too when people are like this. So, you know, you can put that in consideration. Man, this shirt is wrinkled. You might want to heat press it too. All right, so I got my camera. I'm gonna do the same thing again. I left it wide open. I'm gonna lower the ISO back down a little bit since we have the lights back on. And all I'm gonna do is just stand directly on top of it and take a photo just like this, straight up and down. I would highly recommend you taking a photo of a blank so that you can still change the design out on the computer. So this is how we're gonna do it. Go directly on top, take one photo, and we are good. All right, so we have our photo. I'm gonna show you guys how we can cut this out in Photoshop. All right, I'm on the computer. We're about to get on Photoshop, but check it out. So this is the same camera that I have. You can get it on eBay for roughly like 500 to 600-ish bucks. I'll post some links in the description of which camera it is so you can look at it at your own convenience. But if you really do want to learn more about professional photography, then head on over to Skillshare. Check it out. That's our sponsor for the video. So check it out. This is Skillshare. They have thousands of classes on here that's going to help you with your t-shirt business. And also, like I mentioned, photography. You can learn more than I could teach you about photography, and even start up with the basics. Right here we have Sean Dalton, and he's going to show you the exact 10 exercises for better photos. So there's lots of classes just like this. For example, I want to become a better t-shirt designer. I go ahead and type in t-shirt design, and we have hundreds of these classes as well. So not only do you learn photography, but you can literally learn everything that you need to know for your actual business. No goal is too small in this case. And just a bonus mention, they even have this whole series that's curated by Skillshare on how to market your brand or business with video. So there's a whole bunch of back-to-back videos that's going to help you out with your brand and how to market it. With that being said, the first 1,000 people to use the link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So go ahead and check that link out down below. All right, so here's some of the photos that we took. It's actually a little dark. It looks like it might be in focus. Oh, there we go. All right, so you would usually get two different files. You will have a RAW file and the actual JPEG. So typically you want to deal with the RAW file because it has more of the data. Like I said, I'm not a professional photographer. It has more of the data of the actual image, so that whenever you edit, when you edit it, it's more proper, I suppose. But as you can see, the background is nice and blurry. We will have to edit this, so I actually use two different things. I use Adobe Lightroom and I use Adobe Photoshop. And I also brought in a few older photos that we took, so we can also edit this. So this, as you can see, the background is nice and blurry, but if the closer you get to the subject, as you can see right here, the background is really blurry, right? So that's what I'm referring to. All right, so let's go ahead and take some of these photos over to Lightroom. So I use Adobe Lightroom. So check it out. I have this photo in here. It looks like it's not too much in focus, but this part right here is. So all I'm gonna do is, sometimes you can honestly just hit auto, like me. I'm not a professional, so I just click auto, kind of see what it looks like. It really brought out the background. Then I pretty much work in reverse. So it pretty much brought out all of these like the way it's supposed to look, but then I kind of edit it to the way that I want it to look. So as you can see, if you put in too much highlights, it's gonna overexpose all of these areas, and you can see it's like it gets way too white and you can't even see it anymore. So if we lower it, we put the shadows back down. Let's see, can hit some of that white up. See, the black is pretty cool because I wanted the background to be kind of dark like that. I'm gonna lower the exposure just a little bit. I don't like the way my face looks, but this is just for a demo for this video, right? So, and then we have the temperature. So usually you can just hit this eyedropper and bring it on over to whatever is white. So this evens out the white balance of the actual photo. But as you can see, you know, sometimes photos look a little too yellow. You want to add some blue to it. But sometimes some photos come out like this and you want to add some yellow to it. All right, so pretty much just find that even balance of those two colors. Now, that's pretty much it. So sometimes what I like to do to give a little bit of an extra pop is lower the saturation just a little bit, and then I'll raise the vibrance. And this is one thing that a lot of people like to use. I don't know if people use it as much anymore, but clarity, it really brings out like a lot of the detail in the image. You don't want to overdo it, but just add in a little bit. So as you can see, like, so right here, this is the default amount, but if you add a little bit more, it really helps because this is a corduroy hat and we want people to see the lines in it. So that's going to add that extra detail that you see right there. All right, so that helps with especially that type of hat. So now all we want to do is crop this. And that's pretty much it. We can always bring in a Photoshop and kind of dim our face a little bit more, but we'll get into that in a second. So let me go ahead and export this. And I usually put the quality at about 90%. I don't see too much of a difference between 100 and 90%, but 90% helps bring down the file size a lot. So I don't always export at super high. So I usually leave it around there. And I also even shrink it down a little bit more when I save it in Photoshop, because you want to save it for web, because whenever people are on your website, you want it to load fast. And if you put the entire high quality photo on your website, it's gonna take too long for their phones and their internet to load that image. All right, so here's some previous photos. Check it out. What I like to do as well in Adobe Lightroom, once you kind of get, if all the photos are in the same session, then you can kind of find the setting that you want for one photo and easily copy it to all of the other ones. So let me show you what it did look like before. I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna reset it so I can show you guys. So this is what it looked like before. I'm gonna click Photo, Reset Edits. So this is what it looked like before. You couldn't notice too much, but it lost like a lot of the actual detail. Now it looks a little bit more flat, and some of the colors just don't pop as much. So this one right here, we already edit the colors. As you can see, like it has all of our settings right here. What I'm gonna do is just hit copy on it. So it copies all the edit settings. I'm gonna come over here and I just paste it on this one, Control V. So now you can see all that detail come back. It's very slight, it's very minimal, but it does help out a lot. So watch, I'm gonna undo it. You can see like a lot of the texture is missing now. And now I'm gonna add it back. Can y'all see the difference? I hope so. All right, so that's pretty much it for that when it comes to actual photography. And now we're gonna edit that mock-up so I can show you guys how we can cut it out easily in Photoshop. So here's our photo. We're gonna rotate it right here. And then we're gonna just, as you can see, it looks a little overexposed. So this is when it really helps. I'm also gonna try auto again, see how it helps. Yeah, it does help. All right, so this shirt has a lot of wrinkles. This isn't a t-shirt that we sell. This one had misprints and whatnot. And for the sake of the video, we did not iron it. But here we go, we can add a little bit of clarity too. And now we're just gonna hit File and export this one as well. All right, now I'm just gonna drag this over to Photoshop. And there's a few different ways we can go about cutting it. We can use the lasso tool, but I highly recommend the pen tool, which is this one right here. You really gotta get used to this tool. This is going to be the, I wanna say the best tool that's going to be available for you in Photoshop and Illustrator. You really wanna get used to the pen tool. But anyways, what I'm gonna do, or I'm gonna try, I'm just gonna duplicate this. I'm gonna desaturate it, which is Control-Shift-U, or you can go to Image, Adjustments, and Desaturate. All right, so now I'm gonna hit Control-L, that brings up your levels. What I'm gonna do is do this. I'm gonna raise this all the way up, and then hopefully this separates the background a little bit. It does. Now you can see like the t-shirt is standing out on its own. We just want the kind of the silhouette of it. All right, I'm gonna show you guys why in a second. All right, so that's pretty good. Now what I'm gonna do is hit W, which is gonna bring up this magic wand. And now I'm just gonna pretty much select this t-shirt, right? I'm gonna select it. Let's see how that turns out. All right, so that's pretty decent. I'm also gonna come in here, hold the Shift button, select these areas. And now I'm gonna bring up the pen tool. And you see how all these areas are selected? We don't want that selected. So I'm gonna bring up the pen tool. And then we're just gonna pretty much outline the t-shirt. Doesn't have to be too perfect. So now I'm gonna go all the way over here, make this little box. I'm gonna right click, hit make selection. And what we want to do is subtract this selection. So that removes all of that, and we still have our t-shirt selected. What we wanna do, so we can't, there's more than one way to do everything. We can just do that, but honestly, and make the selection and add this to selection. Or honestly, since we didn't need the pen tool, I would have just hit this one right here, the rectangle, and then I would have held Shift and then go ahead and select that area. There's also a little area right here. So right here, I'm using a lasso tool. I use different tools just like depending on what the job is, right? I know over here we messed up. Hold the control button, no, the alt button if you want to remove some. If you're wondering, I am on Windows. I used to design on Mac. I still have my MacBook, but I do a lot of video editing now, and I didn't know Adobe Premiere was literally built for Windows computers, so it runs a lot faster. So since I'm doing a screen recording and I'm gonna edit this video on Windows, that's why I'm on Windows. So here we have it. We have the t-shirt selected. Now all I'm gonna do is pretty much hit this eyeball, make this original one available. I'm gonna go back to the original layer down here. I'm gonna hit Control Copy, Control V, and check it out. Now we have our t-shirt. And you see how like there's still a little bit of an outline that we don't want? So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna hit W. I'm gonna select this entire outside. And what I'm gonna do is go to, whoop, check this out. I also need to remove some. So this is why I don't recommend doing this way. If you want it to be perfect, just from the very beginning, use the pen tool and go ahead and cut it out like that. But you'd have to go around the entire t-shirt. It doesn't take as long as you may think. Delete that. So as you can see, it has like this little outline. I'm gonna hit Magic Wand. I'm gonna select the outside. I'm gonna hit Select, Modify. We're gonna contract it maybe about 1 pixel. No, my bad. What we're gonna do is select, modify, expand. We're gonna do about 2 pixels. And I'm gonna hit select, inverse. Now I'm gonna hit delete. Oh, my bad. Didn't need to inverse it. Hit delete. There we go. And check it out. Now we got like 2 pixels off the outer edge, and that helped remove that line. And that's pretty much it right there. We're pretty good. So now all we have to do is create a new layer right here. Make it white, and we can double click this one. Go to drop shadow, add a little bit of a shadow. Some people like it all the way around. Some people like for it to, you know, some people like for it to be like on the bottom right corner like that. Just really depends what you want. And that's how you can make like an easy mock-up for your brand that is unique to your brand, because some mock-ups you might not find the exact t-shirt that you have, and this might be something that you're going to want to do, especially for those stuff that you're getting done that's cut and sew and completely custom. You're not going to find those mock-ups online, so you're probably going to want to take your own picture. And there you have it. Oh, so like I said, this is a really high quality photo, so what we want to do is hit File, New, and then we're going to hit inches. Usually do by like 5 inches. So 300 DPI is usually made for printing. If you're printing this photo out, 72 is web. So we actually might want it to be a little bit higher in inches. Right now, just to be on the safe side, I'm just gonna put like 150 resolution. All right, so you guys are gonna have to fact check me on what I just said. I'm not perfect, so I just paste it over. See, so if we would've, see how large this image is? It would've taken forever for like the internet to load this photo for some customers. We don't want them to go through those issues. So we're gonna resize it, drop it down. Now add our shadow. And now what we want to do is hit File, Export, Save for Web. So this one right here, this is how you can control the quality of the image. We don't, like I said, we don't want it to be extremely high, because you're not gonna see too much of the quality difference. We want it to be a good image, but a fast loading image on the internet. So that's pretty much how you're going to save it, and that's how you're gonna upload it to your website. So I hope this video helped. Comment, like, subscribe if it did, because I need you to say that it did help, so I know if I should post more videos just like this. See you guys next time.